Hi everyone, it's me, Iris again. Today, in preparation for my very first stream that I'll be setting up very soon, I am starting a video series documenting the creation of my new Live2D model. As I'm doing it, I'm also going to be showing everyone how to create their own if you are interested in VTubing or just creating a Live2D model in general. So I'll be going through the steps that I usually take. It may not be what most other professionals do, but I'll try my very best showing other beginners how me as a beginner too, how to create their own models. So let's get started, shall we? First of all, here, let me open up my art program. First of all, you have to create a PSD file with all of the parts for you or your character's bodies. So please make sure that you or any other artist that's helping you create your model is exporting it as a PSD file, because otherwise Live2D will not be able to read it. Additionally, let me show you my layers. Please make sure that every single part of your Live2D model's body in your layer section is all separate. For example, my hair, let me just move it just slightly. My hair here is made out of the left side, the right side, and the bangs. So all these three parts create the sections of my hair. I also have it separated for my eyebrows and my right eyebrows. I created all of this myself, so I would make sure that every single thing is separate, because when I first created myself with the current model that I am using, it was very annoying with how I had to constantly redo certain things because I did not separate some of my things. I forgot to separate my ears, I forgot to separate my eyebrows, and I forgot to separate a bunch of other stuff. Additionally, my model right now is currently a little bit too small, so this time I made sure to make it twice as big. Before, it was, I think, around 2,000 pixels wide by 2,700 pixels tall, but now it is 4,600 wide and 7,300 tall. So now my model should be a bit more higher quality than what my current one is right now. Anyway, so just like I said before, you just have to ensure that every single part of your body is separated by the layers. Some people might get confused with how to do your eyes though. So if you see mine right here, I had actually made my eyes just a tad bit bigger than my actual eye areas or dimensions, and it's mostly just because if you kept it too small like this, you and your character might end up being in a constant state of shock if you're constantly moving your eye around like this, and that looks very strange. So I decided to make my eyes just a little bit bigger so that it would fit nice and properly like this whenever it is clipped into Live2D. Additionally, I made sure that I separated the top lash from my lower lash, and also with this top eyelash right here, I separated the corner area, just so that I had a bit more control whenever I rigged my things. Previously, I tried to keep them together, but it did not look as good. For your mouth, just make sure, For your mouth, just make sure that, oh, here, let me go and turn off my head. Doesn't look very pretty, but I promise you it's helpful. But right over here, my top and my bottom lip are separated, and my top lip has a little bit of skin at the top, and my bottom lip has a little bit of skin right there too. The reason why is because you also need to separate out your mouth layer, so the inner mouth, your tongue, and your teeth. And that's because your top lip and bottom lip, whenever it's opening and closing, is going to open and close like this whenever you do the rigging. So that's why you need to separate everything out, otherwise it won't look as good. And you need to have a little bit of skin showing for your top and bottom lip. Now let me just turn off my mouth, tongue, and teeth and turn my head back on. As for the clothes, because your Live2D model sometimes will need a little bit of freedom when it comes to rotating certain areas. If you wanted to make yourself a little bit more expressive, just make sure that your neck is separated. Your neck should also be super long so that your head can rotate a little bit more, that just in case you need it to do so. And parts of your clothes should also be separated too. For example, the upper clothes in my new model is separated right here, the collar area. The bow's also separated, but I may actually put those two pieces of clothing together. My torso is separated from my arms, and my upper arm and my lower arms are also separated. If you have any sorts of extra arms, you can also create some too, like this. Just make sure you put it in a way where it doesn't look like you're missing anything. If I were to hide my lower arm here like that right now, it doesn't look like anything's out of place too much. Let me put that back on. Actually, I'll just leave it like this. Oh no. As for your leg area, if you need to animate your legs later on, it is encouraged to separate your knee from your lower leg. But I did not do that because for now, I don't think I need to separate those areas. I may eventually separate them though in the future. Now, this is that portion of the Live2D part, or the PSD file creation part. I'll show you guys a little bit of how to create deformers in Live2D. So let me just switch over. There we go. So this is Live2D, and I had already imported my file in there. My file has also already been organized. Some people may not have organized their things in folders, but it is encouraged to do so. I did not do it the first time, so I was constantly looking for different parts, especially since all of them are named pretty similarly. So I do recommend making sure that your parts or your art meshes, which means the layers that your things or your body parts have been put into, are put into folders up here so that you can easily peruse them whenever you need. Like this. So I have a lot of folders. Additionally, other than the area right here where it puts all your parts, this is where all your deformers can go. Now, think of deformers as folders that can actually warp or make things move around in certain ways. For example, this one right here, let me see if you guys can see it a little bit clearly. Let me just zoom in a bit. There we go. That one right there is my neck deformer. I put a neck deformer there because I wanted my neck to be able to move around. This is specifically a rotation deformer. See how it is? It has a little tiny red circle right next to it. That means that it can rotate. The other ones, the ones that are green, they are deformers that can kind of like warp or distort things. So those are the differences between those two deformers. I'll show you guys a little bit more in a bit. So let me just zoom out so that we can see a little bit more. Hold on. Oops. There. Oh no. It's a little bit too big. Ooh. So those are my deformers right there. So I'll show you what the deformer or that neck rotation deformer actually does, because I did name it neck rotation. My neck rotation deformer is signified on my rigged model as a circle with a little line right here. If I click along the little line, it'll actually rotate my neck around it. And it's only, the reason why it does that is because inside my neck rotation deformer, you'll see that I put inside my art mesh that's my neck and a head rotation. And inside that head rotation deformer, I put a head warp deformer. So now I'll show you guys what a warp deformer actually does. So if you see along here on my mesh, you'll see that there are different lines, correct? These are like Bezier handles that you can push and pull so that the mesh will actually start to distort in ways that you want them to. You may not want to do them like this though, because it looks very strange. It's very funny though. It's kind of cute. So that's my head warp deformer. I decided to have, and inside my head warp deformer, I made deformers of all my other art meshes. So for example, this one right here, this is my front hair warp. So it has the sides of my hairs, the left, the right side, the right side. It's not clicking. No. And my bangs. If I can click any of these three art meshes here and it'll actually move those around. But if I were to click where all those art meshes go into, the deformer that I put them in, which is the front hair warp, because I named it that, I can actually warp just the hair area like this, see? And this could make like swaying motions in the wind if I wanted to, and all of that. I also made my own eyebrow warp, my whole entire eye. So if I actually click one of these things, it'll actually warp my entire eye. Inside of that, it has all of my art meshes related to that left eye. And all of the other ones are all similar things. So I have one for my right eye, my mouth, that has all of the parts related to my mouth, like the tongue, teeth, and top lip, bottom lip, etc. There's the shadow for the face. There's the cheek that has the blush, and some other things just inside that head warp. Because all of that things are in my head warp, And underneath my head rotation, I can actually move my head inside that head rotation area. If I actually took off like my front warp and put it somewhere else, like this. So right now, where's my front hair? I put it somewhere else. I cannot find it right now, so hopefully it's not lost. But we'll see. So if I now move my head rotation, as you can see, it only would rotate whatever is inside the deformer folder. It's not technically a folder, but it acts like it is. So let me just undo that so that my front hair is back. And I can do, oops, this. Now, other than my head rotation, I have my neck rotation right here. Again, my head rotation and my neck art mesh are inside my neck rotation art mesh. So that's why I'm able to manipulate those areas. But the thing is, whenever you first create a rotation deformer, the deformer will actually be in somewhere weird. So when I first got my neck rotation deformer, it showed up somewhere along here, and if you left it there, it will actually rotate where the middle of this circle is. So when that happens, just make sure that you hold down your control key on your keyboard and you can click and drag near the middle of that circle so that it ends up going to the place you want it to go. Because this is the rotation for my neck, I'm putting it at the base of my neck and I can manipulate it there. So neck rotation contains all of the deformers related to my head. I have a singular area here for, or singular rotation here for my, not rotation, but warp deformer for my collar. There's a singular one for my bow. If I actually wanted the bow and the collar to move together, I would move my bow warp inside of the collar warp, like this, so that those two could potentially be, let's see, deformed together, and move together too, like this. See? But I'm going to undo that for now because I may not want that. Additionally, this is my right shoulder rotation. I'm wondering if you guys can see it, so let me just move this here to the side. So my right shoulder rotation is able to rotate from here. When you first see this rotation circle, usually it will point up or down. So if that happens, it ends up being very awkward because it will rotate starting from where the, this handle is. So to change that, just like before, you just have to hold down the control key and click on this area and then just point it in the direction of your body part. And then you'll be able to move it around like this. So inside my shoulder rotation, I have my lower arm rotation. So that's why those two areas, the shoulder rotation is able to rotate my lower arm. Ooh, I actually should fix this because it needs to go face downwards, like that. So, oops. So this lower arm will be able to move from side to side. Or will it be able to rotate up and down? I also put in my upper arms here. I did have to hide it though. Or not my upper arm, that is my upper arm. And then I also have my lower arm rotations for this one. And also for my other one right here, which is this. But I did hide it because I didn't need it right now. Oops. I have my leg too. Because it's my only legs, I just need to do this. And I have a torso warp and a skirt warp so that my skirt can move around like this whenever I need to, if I would like. So right over here, I did not put together my left arm just yet because I wanted to show you the process of doing so. So let me just go ahead and do that. So whenever you're creating a rotation, you have to think about whether or not, or a deformer, you have to think about whether or not you want it to be a warp deformer or it just warps the project or the part or distorts it, or if you want to make it rotate. For this arm, I want it to rotate first, correct? So all I have to do is hold down the Shift key and click all the parts that I want to rotate, and then click this button up here where it's the Create Rotation Deformer button. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. There you go. So again, it's this one right over here. And this will pop up. All you have to do is just name it however you would like to. It doesn't really matter as long as you can understand what it means. So I named it lower arm -2 rotation. I'm going to create it now. And all I have to do is click, hold, and drag it to my area right here. I'm going to let it point downwards. So now this whole thing will be able to rotate and move however I'd like to later on. I'm also going to change my upper arm, which is this area right here, so that it can be under a warp deformer just in case. So I'm going to go click this one right here and it will help me create a warp deformer. So let me just name it upper arm -L warp. Create. So now that can warp whenever I would like to. And I'm also going to create a rotation for this lower arm just in case I need to. Rotation. Great. And I actually should have named this one lower, or I should have named this one shoulder left rotation. So now I have a lower arm 2 rotation, so I can go and move this in the area where I think will be the elbow. I can move this up, and now it'll be able to rotate here whenever I would like to. I also should do something about my other lower arm, so let me just hide my lower arm 2 art mesh and show this one, and then put a rotation underneath it. So now I can actually move it around like this, and it actually showed up in the correct area like that. Now let me just hide it. To hide it, make sure you're clicking on the eyeball icon next to the blue text. That text being blue signifies that it is the art mesh, so I'm going to hide the art mesh and make my other one show because I want it to do this instead. Now then, that's how you set up the deformers. in another video, I'll talk to you about how to actually make the meshes for your art mesh. Because right now, if you see this isn't actually a mesh at all. It just, you can still move around, but it's not as smooth as other things that you can create. So I'll see you guys in another video for that little tiny section. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I hope to see you guys again soon. I can't wait to create my new model. Right now I'm okay with this one, but I'm not that satisfied just yet. But I'll see you guys again another time. See you!